I always liked Ellen DeGeneres when she did stand-up 100 years ago. I thought she was funny.
Not 100 years. She's not that old.
Well, I'll bet it's 25 years ago that she did stand-up.
Or Mom's Mabley. You got to go back into the 60s.
I'm just saying, I'll bet it's 25 years ago that she did stand-up. Because she's been doing this for almost 20, and then she had a series. I thought she was funny. I did. I mean, I still think she's funny. I do. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Hawks want respect. The Sixers and Heat meet in Miami, and the Pac-12 has a new commissioner. But we begin today with James Harden. Harden came off the bench last night playing for the first time in over a month. He looked anything but rusty. Harden had 18 points and 11 assists in 26 minutes as the Nets beat the Spurs. Wilbon, how did Harden and the Nets look to you?
Great, Tony. I expected some rust because we've seen rust from other people, like when Anthony Davis came back. And obviously Anthony Davis has played his way in, to having a 42-point night, and LeBron a little bit, even though he tweaked the ankle to go back out. But, I mean, great players still need some time. James Harden didn't need anything. Tony, it's the 11 assists in 26 minutes that got me, right? He just walks back in and immediately facilitates his teammates. I mean, that's the part of James Harden that even when he was MVP, we didn't necessarily see that. He could pile up assists, but it was mostly about scoring, mostly about setting himself up. James Harden, from day one with the Nets, has accepted this new responsibility. I say new. I know he says it's not new, but it is new that he is the primary playmaker and the best playmaker probably in the league. And he just comes back in and does it. That's what you see that makes you say of the Nets, yeah, they can do this.
Okay. So you know that I was on it early that he should be the MVP.
Yes, you were.
And I understand he's not going to be the MVP because he missed a lot of games. I understand that. But what he did last night is exactly why I felt he should be the MVP. He has been transformed as a player, and he did it by himself. He was selfish, and now he is selfless. And if he and Durant are healthy, I don't think, and I'm not including Kyrie Irving. Right. I'm specifically talking about people who are hurt. If they are healthy, I don't think anyone can beat them. I think Harden is that good and will make other people better. When you look at that when Harden doesn't play, they're a 500 team. Even when Kyrie and Durant play, they're 11-11. I want to get the number right. They're 28-7 when he plays. Now maybe, and I don't know how this works, maybe Durant and Kyrie have no particular chemistry. Maybe they don't. But Harden is the X factor. Yeah. Harden is the guy that makes that team go. And what he did last night, just walk right in. I understand hamstrings are tricky and he could be on the bench tonight. But what he did last night, you say to yourself, wow, he's the most important guy.
He's the most important guy, which I know neither one of us would have said when those three were put together. And he's the guy that prevents it from being the circus that we anticipated, a lot of us. But, Tony, let me say this. This is the only cautionary note. It has nothing to do with James Harden specifically. They're still going to have to play some defense. You look at their scores, and they're used to putting up 130 whenever they want, in large part because Harden is that great as a playmaker. But, Tony, they're going to have to defend. And when you get in a series, and you always say this because you covered the league for forever, guys get a chance on the off day to study you and your tendencies, they take away something. But it doesn't look like they can take away James Harden, does it?
Did you see that bounce pass he made for the assist?
That's insane.
Did
Tony,
you see that?
That's
Here,
out of the Pete Maravich, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, Jason Kidd playbook. It's
18 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals in 26 minutes. He shot 8 for 10. And it's not hard for him to come off the bench because a few years back he was the 6th man of the year.
He says he would do it.
This is out of James Harden's mouth. Not to brag or anything, but I'm like really, really good at this game. And he is. He is.
There's no question about it. Meanwhile, the Atlanta Hawks are in the playoffs for the first time since 2017. The Hawks beat the Wizards last night, another great game, and are in sole possession of the 4th seed in the East, at least for now. Atlanta started the season 14-20 under Lloyd Pierce, but have gone 25-11 since Nate McMillan took over. Star guard Trae Young says he feels like he and his team haven't received the recognition they deserve. Uh-oh. Tony, you agree?
Now, normally I hate when people say that. Normally I hate when players say, we're disrespected and where's my sneaker deal? Right. I hate that. But in this particular case, he happens to be right. Trae Young is shooting 3 less shots a game, 3 less threes a game. He is enabling other people who they've brought in, like Gallinari and Bogdanovich, who are good shooters, to get the ball and score a little bit more than they would have, say, last year. And Trae Young, he may not ever be Luka Doncic, the guy he was traded for on draft night. Because Luka Doncic may go on to be a 5-time MVP for all we know. But Trae Young's a lot better than you thought he was when he was in college.
I'll get to that.
Trae Young is a very good player right now, and I'm glad you mentioned the coaching. Because when Lloyd Pierce, do I have his name right? Lloyd Pierce. When he got canned, both of us thought he got a raw deal. And as it turns out, he didn't get a raw deal. He did not. That record that Nate McMillan has is the second best in the NBA from that point on, second only to Phoenix. They fired the other guy because they were losing all the close games. Under McMillan, they're 12-5 in games decided by 10 points or fewer. And so I think the essence of what Trae Young said is correct.
I'm going to disagree with the essence, but let me get to this. That roster, Tony, there's no recognition. You get recognition for winning in the playoffs. Whether it's Atlanta, I don't care who it is, in the playoffs, okay? John Collins is a terrific young player. You mentioned Bogdanovich, Herter, who we watched play here in college at Maryland. Gallinari, you mentioned Clint Capella. I mean, Clint Capella had 10 blocks in a game this season. DeAndre Hunter from Virginia, who was hurt for a couple of months. He wasn't even in there. They did a hell of a job assembling talent. Now, let me just say this again about Trae Young, who I didn't think was going to be this good. I was dead wrong. Dead, loud, stupid, wrong. Trae Young is terrific, and I'd like to have him on any team I have. But he's wrong about this whole thing about recognition. Dude, win in the playoffs. I'm not even saying you can't win the whole thing this year. I'm not requiring that. I'm just saying, when you play well and win some games and maybe win a series in the playoffs, that's when recognition comes. Professional sports are about the postseason, period.
I understand. I just want to come back on one thing.
What?
You have anointed Tom Thibodeau as the coach of the year because he got the Knicks into the playoffs.
Could be Monty Williams.
Okay, Atlanta, hold on.
Could be
Atlanta
Nate.
Stunk.
Yeah.
They stunk for 3 years.
But it's half a year.
This guy, Nate McMillan, has them.
He's great.
They were awful for 3 years.
Yeah.
He's got them above the Knicks. They're in 4th. The Knicks are in 5th. They're 39, right? 39 and 31 right now.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to talk about Tibbs, you got to talk about McMillan.
Listen, I've been talking about, first of all, Nate shouldn't have been fired earlier from other gigs. He should still be coaching in other places where they were crazy and fired him. So he's a terrific coach, Tony, but it's half a year. Tibbs been there the whole year. And the Knicks just weren't bad for 3 years. They've been bad for 100 years. Stop it.
Sick of Tibbs.
Give Tibbs some credit.
Sick of Tibbs.
Give him some love.
Sick. Let's take a break.
The love,
Sick of Tibbs. Coming up, the Sixers and the Heat play tonight in Miami. Which team should we have more confidence in?
And Harrison Bader made it look hard last night in Milwaukee. I mean, they don't have that ramp like they do in Houston. But did he actually make a good play?
Enough Tibbs.
There's never enough Tibbs. You know, you could have predicted. You're mad you didn't get on the bandwagon when you should have.
It's time for toss-up. 2 men enter. 1 man leaves wondering why we only had 2 stories in today's A block when we usually have 3. What's first?
Toss-up. They play tonight. Which team do you have more confidence in going forward? The Sixers or the Heat?
So I'm going to eliminate tonight's game because I don't care about that, and I think the question is beyond tonight's game.
Okay.
And I would say, absolutely, I have more confidence in the Miami Heat. Absolutely. This same team went to the finals in the NBA last year.
Yeah.
They came out of a 5th seed where they may finish this year, and they went all the way into the finals. What was the last time the Sixers were in the finals? It's 2001. With Allen Iverson and Larry Brown coaching. Let's look at your boy Jimmy Butler, who you love.
I love him.
Jimmy Butler was in Philadelphia, and Simmons was there, and Embiid was there, and Jimmy Butler said, see you later, I'm going to Miami. Yeah. What does that tell you? I mean, my sense of Philadelphia is that they've got a lot of yap, and they've got a lot of talent, but I think they went out in the playoffs last year. I thought they went out swept in the first round. I could be wrong. But I look at Miami as a team that is getting this year to where they were last year, and I have more confidence in them.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, I looked at Philly. I looked at Miami, and they get their guys back in Hero and Butler and Adebayo and Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn and Dragic. They're deep, they're talented, and they got the experience of going to the finals. And they like Philly, are damn well coached. Okay, they both are. Tony, I think it's Miami, but let me say this about Philly. I think they've got a greater upside in that if you get Embiid and Simmons, and by the way, Simmons may be the defensive player of the year, maybe. I realize Stifle Tower could be that too. But those guys playing together like they are, if they're healthy going in, I mean, this is it's the all-time a Hall of Fame toss-up. Because I don't know. Again, 2 weeks ago, I was ready to say Miami, but Philly just won 8 in a row, I think it was, Tony. And I know they dropped one, but that doesn't matter at this point. Philly's playing awfully well, and they are confident in themselves. I think they might have a slightly higher.
Who do you have?
I'm pushing.
Who do you have?
I'm pushing.
Push. Hall of Fame toss-up? Really?
Yes, Hall of Fame toss-up.
In May?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Next.
Toss-up. Did Harrison Bader make a good play or a bad play?
Okay. I'm going to move the question a little bit because he made 2 plays, and it's important. You cannot put them together. On the first play, what happened was Lorenzo Cain is at second base. There's a deep fly ball. Harrison Bader goes back. When he gets to where the grass meets the warning track, he slips.
It's muddy.
He goes down to his knees. He scrambles on his knees. He makes a catch. It is a great catch, a great play. But when he goes to transfer the ball, because he knows Cain is going to get the third, but he wants to get the ball back in, the ball goes way behind him. Cain gets the third, doesn't stop running, and he scores. So at that point, you say it's a bad play. So to me, it is 2 distinct plays.
That's a push.
The irony to me, Mike, is what would have been the best outcome? The best outcome would have been if he didn't catch the ball, kept it in front of him, let Cain go to third, it would have been 0-0 instead of 1-0.
Cain would have gone beyond third. You watching Cain? He's like Dion.
No.
What are you, nuts? You're wrong. Okay, that analysis is just dead wrong, and you pushed. So he made a terrific play. He made the play he could make, and it was mud out there. When you see him look back at his spike marks and the mud that came up, come on, grounds crew. Let's get it going out there. That's what happened to him. The mud stuck his feet in the ground. He couldn't transfer the ball. It's a good play. How dare you push? That's just so weak.
That's it. I didn't actually push.
Yeah, you
Wilbon called it a world-class toss-up.
World-class, man.
Let's take one last break. Still to come, the Pac-12 has a new commissioner. Will he restore the conference's place amid the powers of college football?
Actually, I called it a Hall of Fame toss-up.
Hall of Fame.
What should we expect out of Alex Rodriguez now that he's officially a new owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves?
He ought to try out for the team. He can jump. He can play.
I don't think so.
Try out for the team.
I wonder if
How
Alex
old is
played
he now?
much basketball. He might have.
I'm sure he
Growing
did.
up in Miami.
Jimmy Butler said goodbye. Every time, people. Happy 70th birthday, Mike Martz. Remember him? Martz was the hottest offensive guy in the NFL 20 years ago. He was the offensive coordinator on the St. Louis Rams when they beat the Titans in the Super Bowl, and he was their head coach when they lost to New England in the Super Bowl. The Rams were the greatest show on turf under Martz. They had Kurt Warner and Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, Marshall Faulk. Martz lasted 4 more years before stepping away with health issues 5 games into the 2005 season. Then he bounced around as offensive coordinator for the Lions, the 49ers, the Bears, and then the bottom dropped out. Despite a 53-32 record as a head coach, Martz hasn't worked in the NFL since 2011. Most recently, he was head coach of the San Diego Fleet in the late lamented AF. Wilbon, you never liked Martz, right?
I didn't dislike him as much as you sort of make it out, but he couldn't get anything out of Jay Cutler. But neither could anybody else, so I don't want to blame Mike Martz for that.
Let's wish him happy birthday. Then.
Happy birthday.
A not so happy anniversary, Toronto Maple Leafs. On this day 8 years ago, the Maple Leafs saw their Eastern Conference quarterfinals playoff series slip from their grasp as they lost Game 7 to the Boston Bruins in crushing fashion. Toronto was ahead 4-1 in the third period. but the Bruins stormed back. They scored 2 goals in the final 2 minutes to force overtime, where they would win 5-4. The Maple Leafs have endured the longest playoff drought of the original 6 teams. They have not advanced in the playoffs since 2004. They've not been to the Stanley Cup final since 1967, the last time they won the Cup. That is so long ago, there were only the original 6 teams then. In the ensuing years, the NHL added 25 more, and many of them have won the Cup. And not just the first wave of expansion teams like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, but teams from places where it hardly ever snows, like Tampa Bay and Dallas and Anaheim and Carolina.
Tony, I feel for Toronto because that has been their flagship team. But you know what, Tone? From 2 years ago, when I spent almost the entire spring in and out of Toronto, the Raptors, and you're not going to believe this, the Raptors seem to have at least pulled even with the Maple Leafs in terms of popularity of sport in Toronto, in Greater Toronto, one of my, 3 favorite cities in North America. I'd like to see the Maple Leafs win, though. I really would.
Ding, 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 ding. Wilbon rating cities in North America.
Yeah.
Happy trails to the opening for Pac-12 commissioner. The conference announced today that George Kliavkoff will take over for Larry Scott. Kliavkoff, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is currently the president of entertainment and sports for MGM International. That means he knows something about betting and showmanship, which is where college sports seems to be headed. He is a sports and entertainment lawyer who worked for MLB and was instrumental in bringing Pac-12 championships to Las Vegas. Now, some people are saying this is a shocking, non-traditional hire. Well, Larry Scott was a traditional hire. He was president of the Women's Tennis Association, and under his stewardship, the Pac-12 basically disappeared from sight, to the point where people are asking to expand the college football playoff to 8 or 12 spots just so a Pac-12 team can get in. Wilbon, where are you on this hire?
Tony, I think I like the hire. It's out of the box. It's coloring outside the lines. But I don't want to blame everything that happened in the Pac-12 or didn't happen on Larry Scott. I mean, seriously, they got a lot of programs up there that had been good long before Larry Scott, and they fell off long before he got there. So the Pac-12's got a lot of work, but maybe this is the guy to get it done.
And a bonus happy trails to Michael Ray Wilbon.
Where am I going?
After tonight's show, Wilbon is headed to Connecticut, where he will be inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame at a ceremony this weekend at the Mohegan Sun Casino, a fitting place for Wilbon, who always says, I don't care what Vegas says.
I don't.
Wilbon is headed there tonight before any calls for a recount of his election can be completed. It has been reported that Adam Silver will personally drive Wilbon to the induction to thank him for the many times he has said out loud, it's a ball night. Can't wait for Sacramento at Orlando.
Yeah.
Fascinating playoff implications. Wilbon is now in something like 18 halls of fame. My own high school asked me for his contact information so they could induct him into the Hewlett High School Hall of Fame, which I'm not even in.
I'll take that.
On behalf of everyone at PTI, and I suspect America at large, we congratulate you on your crusade against junk and stupid analytics, and we wish you luck in getting the Hall of Fame relocated to Chicago, and seriously, we are thrilled for you. Do you have a speech? You know what you're going to say?
I have a speech. You'll just have to wait for it like everybody else, Tony, to see if you're named in the speech. It's a great weekend. I thank everybody. I thank you. I love covering a lot of things, but in the last 20 years, nothing anyway more than basketball. It's been a long ride doing it, a long, glorious ride, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Good for you. Let's go to the big finish quickly if we can.
Let's do it.
A-Rod's group reached an agreement to buy the Timberwolves. Is that a big deal?
It is, Tony. I mean, they seem to be in need of direction and a dynamic owner, and I really hope A-Rod is indeed that. The Pelicans were eliminated from the playoffs. You disappointed by that? No Zion?
Well, I'd like to see Zion, but you know what? If you can't finish 10th, shut up. Get out. Come on. 2 top prospects debuted